So today we'll be discussing about sulfonamides. Hopefully, if we have enough time, we'll even discuss cotrimoxazole and quinolones. Okay. So first of all, coming to sulfonamides. Now, sulfonamides are drugs that are not used as such nowadays because there are better versions of better antibiotics, and sulfonamides tend to cause a lot of toxicity. Okay. So and also resistance has developed for sulfonamides. So there are drug better options, there is resistance development, and there is toxicity. That is why it is rarely used. Only for some very specific criteria sulfonamides are used nowadays. Okay, if we talk about the classification of sulfonamides, one of the most common ways, or one of the most common classifications that you will find of sulfonamides will be based on their duration of action. Okay, so you have short acting, intermediate, and long acting sulfonamides. So first of all, short acting sulfonamides, these will act for 4 to 8 hours. Okay, the duration of action for these drugs will be 4 to 8 hours. So the main drugs will be, one second, right, short acting sulfonamides act for 4 to 8 hours. Drugs will include sulfasoxazole and sulfadiazine. Okay, then we have intermediate acting sulfonamides. Intermediate. These will work for 8 to 12 hours. So the higher the duration of action, the lower you can make the frequency, meaning instead of giving 3 times or 4 times a day, you can make it 2 times a day. And if it is long enough, even 1 time a day. Sometimes some sulfonamides are given once in 2 days or something like that. Okay, because their duration of action will be very long. Intermediate acting will be sulfamethoxazole. Okay, sulfamethoxazole is used as a combination in another drug called cotrimoxazole as well. We'll discuss about that after sulfonamides. Then we have long acting. Long acting drugs will work for roughly around 7 days. So a very high T half and very long duration of action. This will include sulfadoxine and sulfamethoxypyrazidine. Sulfamethoxypyrazidine. Okay, so then again you will have another classification based on absorption and where it is coming. See, generally speaking, based on absorption, there is one drug which is which has having poor absorption, that is sulfasalazine. You might have that in some textbooks. And there is topical drugs will include mefenamide, sulfacetamide, and you will have sulfadiazine, silver sulfadiazine, that can be applied topically. As such, sulfur this thing sulfonamides have the same, all sulfonamides will have the same mechanism of action, which is inhibiting folic acid synthesis. The effect of sulfonamide is that they are bacteriostatic. These are not bactericidal. They will only stop the growth of the bacteria. They will not kill the bacteria. Okay? These are bacteriostatic. How do they do that? Now, whenever we have a bacteria and it is causing an infection, you know that that bacteria needs to divide, right? Without division, a bacteria cannot cause any infection, right? A single bacteria will enter into your body and it will divide into making several colonies, millions of bacteria. That is when you will have an infection. We are trying to stop the process of that replication. How we do that is, so in your in the bacteria, in the bacterial cell, there is one particular chemical called para-amino benzoic acid, PABA. Okay, para-amino benzoic acid. I'm sure you must have heard about this if you studied about bacteria. This is one of the essential components of bacteria. The effect of this PABA is that this will get converted into folic acid, specifically dihydrofolic acid. Okay, later on trihydrofolic acid will get converted into tetrahydrofolic acid, and that tetrahydrofolic acid is used by the bacteria to divide. Okay, so it is essential in the formation of a new replica or in the formation of daughter bacteria. ठीक है, यहाँ पर The enzyme that is catalyzing this reaction of PABA into dihydrofolic acid is called folic acid synthetase or folate synthetase. So folic acid synthetase or folate synthetase. In some textbooks, you'll also find folate synthetase. Both of them are the same. Whenever the bacteria is making dihydrofolic acid, it will convert it later on into tetrahydrofolic acid and replication continues. Our sulfonamide will inhibit this enzyme. Okay? This sulfonamide goes and it will stop this enzyme, because of which replication in bacteria will stop. Okay, mind you, they're not killing the bacteria, they're only stopping the replication of bacteria, meaning for the duration of the drug, or for as long as the drug is present in your blood, bacteria will not be able to divide. Meaning as soon as you remove the drug, or the drug concentration in your blood falls below therapeutic levels, replication will restart. That is why it is bacteriostatic. Okay, this is a competitive inhibitor of PABA. Okay, it will inhibit PABA, and ultimately it will not let folic acid synthetase, it will not let PABA be converted into dihydrofolic acid. It will inhibit PABA by binding with folic acid synthetase, and it will stop the conversion. Now, normally speaking, folic acid is also present in humans, so technically it should affect humans also, right? But the thing is that human cells are not affected, as folic acid that you have in your body, that folic acid is consumed, it is not made in your body. So even if this bacteria is present in your body and this drug is going and inhibiting folic acid synthetase, it will not affect the folic acid levels in your body, because it is these drugs are affecting the formation of folic acid rather than folic acid itself. Okay, in a human, a human does not have synthesis of folic acid, they will have folic acid itself, which is consumed from outside, from food. Okay, your body does not have the capability of making folic acid. All right, so humans will not have a problem with sulfonamides. Toxicity will be because of a different reason. As such, this drug is not useful in case if there is pus, or if there is blood and tissue breakdown products. Okay, if there is protein breakdown products in presence of such wounds or such what they call injuries, sulfonamides will not work, because such products are very very rich in PABA. Meaning, even if you have a enzyme inhibitor, if there is way too much amount of substrate, ultimately some amount of substrate will get converted into product. Okay, this is a basic enzymatic reaction where we have a substrate being converted into a product using an enzyme. What we are doing with sulfonamide is stopping or inhibiting some of the enzymes. यहाँ पर problem क्या आता है? If there is presence of pus or blood or tissue breakdown products, they are very very rich in PABA, meaning there is a lot of substrate. Even if you give sulfonamide, it will be able to inhibit some of these enzymes, but because there is such a high concentration of PABA, some of them will get converted into dihydrofolic acid, because you cannot simply inhibit all the folic acid synthesis. Meaning in that area, bacterial division will occur and sulfonamides will not be able to work properly. Okay, so that is one point that you need to remember about sulfonamides. Okay, they are ineffective in the presence of pus, blood, and tissue breakdown products, as they are rich in PABA. Okay, that is one important point. Now, as such, the spectrum of sulfonamides will include many gram-positive bacteria and some gram-negative bacteria. Okay, it is very good in case of several gram-positive bacteria like Nocardia. You can give it in gram-negative bacteria. You can give it in Streptococcus. You can give it for Haemophilus influenza. The spectrum, I'll just write the spectrum here, it'll be easier. Spectrum of any antibiotic means that it will work against those bacteria. Okay. Obviously, you will have resistant strains as well, but for now we are only considering normal strains for them. Streptococci, H. influenza, Haemophilus ducreyi, you have Nocardia. Nocardia is a gram-positive bacteria. E. coli, you can use it for Proteus mirabilis. You can use it for cholera, Vibrio cholera. Okay, and some strains of staphylococci, gonococci, and meningococci as well. Okay, not all strains, but some strains. Some people have also used sulfonamides in case of chlamydia, in case of plasmodium infections, plasmodium falciparum, parasitic infections. Okay, like plasmodium falciparum or toxoplasmosis. Mein. In these also sulfonamides are used. Now, as such, PK of these drugs is that they are well absorbed, okay, orally, and they are extensively bound to plasma proteins, meaning there is a good chance of toxicity if there is higher dose given. It will be very hard to remove the drug. Agar plasma protein binding बहुत extensive है, ठीक है, they are well distributed and they are the primary way of metabolism for this is liver. Okay, you can give both oral and IM. So PK of the drug is that it is well absorbed. mm, Metabolized by liver and given orally and IM. ठीक है. Now, adverse effects related to these, as I told you, this is not exactly a safe drug per se because of extended toxicity, or to put it in another way, they are better options. That is why sulfonamides are not used nowadays a lot. Only in specific conditions you will use. Okay, the adverse effects related to sulfonamides will include renal irritation, hematuria. So ADR will include renal irritation, hematuria. The patient will have crystalluria. Crystalluria can be specifically painful. See, one of the reasons why hematuria is occurring is because of crystalluria. Those crystals can damage the inner lining of your urinary tract, and it can cause bleeding, leading to hematuria. If you want to avoid if you want to avoid crystalluria when you are giving a patient sulfonamide, just make sure that they are drinking a lot of fluids or they are on a lot of fluids. Either they are drinking it or you are giving them IV. Either cases, there should be a lot of fluid intake. That way you can avoid crystalluria. And one very important side effect that can occur with sulfonamide is SJS. इसको Stevens Johnson syndrome बोलते हैं. Stevens Johnson syndrome is a very very advanced level allergic reaction in which how should I put it, the patient's skin will literally rip away. Okay, the skin all over the body because of a severe allergic reaction, their skin will literally degenerate and it will waste away. Okay, so that is something that can happen with sulfonamides because of such a important side effects. That is also one of the reasons why sulfonamide is not used very often. And it can also cause kernicterus in some people. Kernicterus, especially in newborn babies. Okay, kernicterus is when there is increased amount of bilirubin and that bilirubin is crossing your blood-brain barrier and entering your nervous system, central nervous system, and causing nervous symptoms, and it is causing central nervous system damage. That condition where bilirubin gets accumulated in your CNS is called kernicterus. As such, your nursing implications associated with sulfonamides will be that you have to make sure the patient is drinking a lot of water along with sulfonamides, and make sure you report the doctor as soon as you see any signs of allergy, because if there is any sign of allergy, it might be SJS. Okay. Now coming to interactions about with sulfonamides, drug interactions basically. This drug will interact with phenytoin. It will interact with tolbutamide, and it will interact with warfarin. Okay. The effect will be that if you give sulfonamide along with these three drugs, it will increase the action of these drugs. Okay. Phenytoin's action, tolbutamide's action, and warfarin's action will be increased in the presence of sulfonamides. If you give methotrexate is a drug that you use for cancer. It's also an immunosuppressant drug. If you give methotrexate along with sulfonamide or in the presence of sulfonamide, the renal excretion of methotrexate will decrease, because of which methotrexate will start getting accumulated in the body and it will cause toxicity. So another interaction with methotrexate. Just MTX लिखते हो क्या? I'll just write methotrexate. methotrexate plus sulfonamide leads to MTX. MTX is the abbreviation for methotrexate. Okay, MTX toxicity. Normally methotrexate gets eliminated through your kidneys, ठीक है, renal excretion होता, but in the presence of sulfonamide that excretion gets blocked to a certain extent, because of which methotrexate starts getting built up in the person's body, leading to toxicity. So that is about this thing, sulfonamides. We'll talk about cotrimoxazole. Cotrimoxazole is a drug which is very similar to sulfonamides. यहाँ पर mechanism of action will be slightly different, similar but slightly different. ठीक है, अब the drug we'll be talking about is cotrimoxazole. Now cotrimoxazole is not exactly one drug, it is a combination of two drugs. ठीक है, it is basically a combination of trimethoprim plus sulfamethoxazole. One second, I'm coming to your doubt. Sulfamethoxazole. Okay. ADR means adverse effects or adverse drug reaction. You can take it in a way as side effects. Okay, a pronounced form of side effects, more severe form of side effect. Now, coming back to this thing, cotrimoxazole, as I told you, is a combination of trimethoprim and sulfamethoxazole. There is a very specific reason why this is given. This drug is a bactericidal agent. This will directly kill the bacteria. Okay. The way through which this drug works, cotrimoxazole, because there are two parts to this drug. यहाँ पर, as I told you, PABA will get converted into dihydrofolic acid, right? Now, dihydrofolic acid will get converted into tetrahydrofolic acid. This is normal. This is happening in the bacteria. Okay, it gets converted into tetrahydrofolic acid. Okay, यहाँ पर the enzyme that is doing this is dihydrofolate reductase. Okay, so we have two enzymes here. One enzyme is folic acid synthetase, which is helping in conversion of PABA into dihydrofolic acid, and the consequent reaction is that dihydrofolic acid will be converted into tetrahydrofolic acid. This tetrahydrofolic acid is the final form that the bacteria uses for division. Okay, until and unless this is formed, the bacteria will not be able to divide and do other functions as well. Okay. Now, whenever you give cotrimoxazole, we know that sulfonamides will inhibit this. So sulfamethoxazole is inhibiting this folic acid synthetase. Trimethoprim will inhibit this dihydrofolate reductase, because of which there is a stronger reaction in the bacteria, and even the essential functions of the bacteria will get affected, leading to the death of the bacteria. Cotrimoxazole is a much more stronger drug when compared to sulfonamides. Okay, if you use trimethoprim solely or solitary, let's suppose you are giving only trimethoprim, there is a very good chance that resistance will develop. Because of that, trimethoprim has been combined with sulfamethoxazole. You will find this drug in the form of Bactrim or Septron. Bactrim and Septron are what do you call this thing? Brands of different variants of cotrimoxazole. They are cotrimoxazole, but they are given under different names. As such, as I told you, these will cause this will cause directly the death of the bacteria. Now, the ratio of trimethoprim and sulfamethoxazole that you give is 1:5. Meaning, generally in a particular preparation, you will have 80 mg of trimethoprim and 400 mg of sulfamethoxazole. That is a one single tablet. Okay, so a single tablet of trimethoprim and sulfamethoxazole, which is cotrimoxazole, it will have 80 mg of trimethoprim and 400 mg of sulfamethoxazole, 1:5 ratio. Okay, this drug is generally given BD. Now you give this BD for what do you call, for 2 days, followed by what do you call OD. You can decrease the dose later on. All right. So this is about cotrimoxazole. Now some other things is the spectrum. Yeah, forgot to tell you about the spectrum. This drug will work very well against several gram-positive and gram-negative bacteria. It can work against Staphylococcus. It can work against Streptococcus, Meningococcus, Corynebacterium diphtheria. It can work against E. coli. I'll just write the spectrum here so that it is easier for you to remember. Spectrum of the drug will include gram positive and gram negative like E. coli. It will work against strep and staph, staphylococcus and streptococcus. It can work against meningococcus. It has good effect against Corynebacterium diphtheria. You can also use it in case of salmonella infections, salmonella and shigella. Okay, so spectrum is pretty wide. As such, the adverse effects related to this ADR related to this will be nausea, vomiting, headache. The patient will have now specific ADRs will be glossitis and stomatitis. Okay. Even if you don't remember nausea, vomiting, please remember glossitis and stomatitis. It will also cause allergic reactions. Glossitis is inflammation of your tongue. Okay, whenever you give cotrimoxazole to a patient, there is a chance that the patient will have inflamed tongue, and it can cause stomatitis. Stomatitis is inflammation of your mouths and lip. Okay, so whenever you give cotrimoxazole, you might find the patient having tongue infection, tongue inflammation, or they might have mouth and lips inflammation. Okay, in case of renal insufficiency, or if the patient has chronic renal failure, especially when creatinine clearance, see creatinine clearance, I'm not sure whether you have been taught about creatinine clearance or not, but creatinine is a byproduct of muscle metabolism in a way. Okay? A byproduct of muscle movement. Technically, skeletal muscle, whenever it is active, they will produce some metabolic byproducts. Okay, one of such byproducts is creatinine. Creatinine is formed from creatine. This creatinine will get excreted from your kidneys. Normally, in a patient, GFR or creatinine are synergistic terms, in the sense that if a person has good GFR, they will have a very good excretion of creatinine. If creatinine clearance is what you call normal, GFR will be normal. ठीक है, correlation वैसा है. इसका मतलब क्या है? अगर creatinine clearance falls significantly, it becomes very very low. Creatinine clearance, okay, I'm not talking about serum creatinine level, I'm talking about creatinine clearance. अगर creatinine clearance कम है तो serum creatinine level बढ़ जाता. Clearance का मतलब you are throwing it out of the body. ठीक है, if the patient has creatinine clearance which is less than 15 ml per minute, 15 ml per minute, in that case you have to decrease the dose, or technically speaking you should not give cotrimoxazole if the creatinine clearance is so low. In renal disease patients, especially those who have uremia, avoid giving this drug. Also, avoid it in patients who have folate deficiency, because dihydrofolate reductase is present in humans that can affect humans. So, agar cotrimoxazole there hai in a patient who has folate deficiency, they might develop megaloblastic type of anemia. So you have to be careful of that. Okay, so those are adverse effects of this. You can use it in UTI, you can use it in upper and lower respiratory tract infections, you can use it for diarrhea and dysentery, especially those that is caused by E. coli, or those that is caused by Shigella. You can use it for typhoid. Okay, cotrimoxazole is very good in case of typhoid as well. If you have a patient who needs cotrimoxazole and they are having renal impairment, let's suppose they are having renal insufficiency, decrease the dose. If they are having significant renal insufficiency where their kidneys are not working properly at all, then you have to stop the drug. Okay, it can be toxic to your kidneys. So that is about cotrimoxazole. Come करेंगे. We'll start quinolones in the next class, because quinolones is big again. I'll have to stop in between.